What's up, guys? Sheer Drop Wrestling Team back again. We are reviewing the episode of Raw from yesterday, September 11th, 2023. I got Andy with me here as always. How are we doing today?
Good, man. Having a good day.
So, this show was interesting. We were talking for a good bit before we decided to record the video. So, we have some differing opinions on yesterday's episode of Raw. I didn't like it a whole lot. You seem to be in favor of it. So I'm very curious to see where this goes and interested to see kind of like our talking points. But speaking of talking points, the main thing, the takeaway from this episode, I saw it all over social media before I was able to watch Raw. So I had my disappointment, I guess, prepared from the beginning. She's not like most girls. She's much worse. Nia Jax made her return to the company, seemingly for real, not just like a one-off. It seems like she's going to be back for a while. Interfered in the main event, got involved immediately in the title scene. How you feeling about this, Andy?
I'm not feeling too great about it, I'm not gonna lie. This is definitely something that you and I can agree on, I think, from yesterday's show. Uh, yeah, not too hot on this.
I'm
Um,
hesitant. I'm definitely not excited. Um, I just haven't really ever been a fan of Nia or her work. And her original stint with the company. Um, I just don't think she's what the roster needs right now. And
yeah.
I'm curious. I'm sure more details are going to come out about like how long she's been signed or like what happened and stuff like that. I just I don't think she was the right person out of everyone that's like been cut in the past and like hasn't come back yet. I know Triple H has done a lot of re-signings. Like he got
Hmm.
Dakota back, he got
Yeah.
Emma, and like all these other people from the past. But like I don't think we needed Nia.
No. Uh, I'm just also concerned what with her, you know, string of
her
injury
her
people.
history of not being the safest in the ring.
Yeah.
Has anyone told Kyrie?
Which
Does she know?
which you know, hoping things have gotten better in that regard at the very least. If they were going to bring her back, I just wish they would not have done so in getting involved in the way that she did.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they probably wanted her to be able to make a big entrance and uh, you know, be able to whoa moment of what's going on. I just don't think it was that moment. It was the correct call,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the call we got.
So if she has been putting in the work and she's at least safer in the ring, then like sure I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because of her history. I had this preconceived notion of even just watching what little went on last night when she did that bonsai drop on Rhea. I was like, okay, is she gonna like protect her or whatever? And see, it looked like she just went like full weight down on
It,
Rhea and didn't like break her fall slightly or anything, and just went like full shoot bonsai drop, which
yep.
we're starting rough. We're starting rough.
Yeah, yeah. I did notice that as well. It really did just kind of look like he went, no, I don't need to catch myself. I can, this
Or
is wrestling.
the
You gotta,
slaps to Rhea's face afterward. That didn't look like that was planned. Rhea had to stop herself. It looked like from reacting a certain way and
yeah.
sell it more.
It also looked like she spit on her face too,
Glad
which
she's
is,
back. Can't wait.
yeah,
So excited. 10 out of 10.
great.
But other than that, um, so yeah, like we touched on, I wasn't super fond of this show as a whole, and I'm wondering if because I knew how it was going to end, that kind of like
Mhm.
colored my perception. But even just looking back through my notes, I was not having a very fun time watching Raw.
I mean, overall, I think I was having a pretty good time just skimming back over my notes. Towards the end, I think I probably got a bit tired, but I don't know if that was just, because it was a longer show, because Raw is 3 hours, or if I just had lost interest by the end. But overall, I think it was a pretty good show.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it for well,
That's kind of like the curse of Raw, too. Like, unless, because it is a 3 hour television show, so
Mhm.
unless like a fairly decent to just like an average episode of Raw, it could be good, but like 3 hours of like your undivided attention is draining. So I feel
Yeah,
like unless it's one of those shows where it is just firing on all cylinders all night, you leave with that like, that could have been better.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. Especially like trying to take notes
Mm.
and really be engaged in what's going on the show also makes it a bit harder when it is longer and it's not just constant bang 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 on the you know match to match, as you said, firing on all cylinders.
And it definitely wasn't like match to match to match tonight. I have a note about that, about how long it took for us to get even just a second match on the card tonight.
Yep.
But I guess with that being said, we'll just start going down the rest of the card here. So Raw tonight is in Norfolk, Virginia. Again, they're just kind of on that like eastern part of the U.S. Every show that they've done lately, it feels like it's been only just a couple hours away from either one of us, and it's like, dang, what if we went?
Hey.
That should be us. It's okay. We're going to Mania. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So we get Jey Uso to open up the show today. He talks about how good it is to be by himself and be here on Raw, which it feels just copy and paste from what he said on the Grayson Waller effect and what he said last week on Raw too. So we're 0 for 1. That was my indication of like, oh, I'm not gonna like tonight. But he gets cut off by KO, who walks out to the ring, joins him, and says, like I've been in this spot before where you're trying your hardest to prove to everyone that you've changed, that you're not the person you were when they last interacted with you. KO says he knows exactly like what Jay's going through right now. And because of that, Kevin, like he said, Sammy welcomed him back with open arms. Cody was the one that brought him over to Raw. So those two seem to be able to just put their transgressions aside and see Jay for who he is now. And KO says, it's not that easy with me. Like, you're going to have to do a lot to earn my respect and earn my trust after, like, everything that, you, your brother, Roman, Solo have, like, put me through, have put Sammy through, all this other fun stuff. Judgment Day come out. They kind of stir the pot a little bit.
Mhm.
They start talking about how, like, well, Jay, you still got the spot here in Judgment Day if you want. I know you've been saying no. Dom said no. He's here now, and he's a champion. Have you ever held singles gold? No. So they're kind of like poking the bear a little bit of
Yeah.
like, if they just ask him enough, eventually he'll just cave and say like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll join your group. Um, but KO gets bored. KO says he's here for a fight. Sammy's not there, so he said, F it, I'll go 1-on-3 with you guys. And then Jay is like, well, how about instead I team up with you and we get Judgment Day versus the team of Jay and Kevin. Kevin thinks it over. He says, okay. And then they all just start like swinging and we get a brawl.
Yeah, they
And
do.
that leads us to our first commercial break. So, as far as opening segments go, how'd you feel about this?
uh, I enjoyed it. Um, I've come to notice that the Judgment Day pounding Jay about being a member is, I don't think, anything that's going away anytime soon. So I'm trying to come to terms
It wasn't
with
even the
that.
first time tonight, or it won't be the only time tonight that it happens.
It will not be. Uh, I'm fine if it's only ever going to be a story beat. I really don't want to see him do that. As for the whole opening segment in general, honestly kind of thought the first thing out of KO's mouth was going to be, Sammy's not here tonight. We're gonna get
Kevin Owens isn't here.
yeah, another one of those from last week. Um, but overall, KO's really good on the mic, and a lot of what he had to say makes sense in terms of Jay coming over to the roster, and is just a good, I'd say, story line to push him down, of kind of redemption of coming back from all the junk that he had done when he was part of the bloodline, and that he had done with his family members and everything.
I think now that we're like talking about it out loud, and I've been like theorizing some stuff in my head about like, what could I like what would have made this segment work a little more for me, is I
Hmm.
think all that needed to be done was don't even let Jay start to cut a promo. Just as soon as he puts like the mic to his mouth, opens his mouth, Kevin comes out and in true Kevin Owen fashion, like in true KO fashion, goes like, like, no, 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 like we are not doing this again. You are not going to cut another promo about how happy you are to be here when no one here is happy to see you. Like we're not doing this. And then he can talk about like being in that spot and like knowing that
Hmm.
half the locker room doesn't like you and stuff. I think that would have been, because that also is just like Kevin Owens' character. Like he
Yeah,
calls that out. He's the first to fight. He's like, no, 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 no. Like we're not doing this. This is not.
yeah,
I don't know what you thought was going to happen, but it's not what's happening.
yeah. I think that would have made the whole opening promo, a lot better. Yeah.
So we go to that commercial. We come back. That match between Judgment Day and then Jay and Kevin was made official. Do you want to take the reins on this one?
Uh, yeah. I mean, just before the break, I was getting really excited because the first thought I had after KO came out was, oh wow, it'd be actually, and he had been cutting his promo. I was thinking that, oh cool, it'd be really cool if they actually decided to work together. So as you stated, when we get back from the break, it had been made official and it had already started. I believe it was KO was in the ring first, uh, and throughout the match, it kind of felt like, I think there was only one or two, might have just been one commercial break. KO kind of was the sacrificial lamb for commercial
Boy,
breaks
was
so
he.
that Jay could have his time in the ring. Um, yeah, KO seemed to be getting hit pretty hard in his right leg, I think it was.
I think.
And it was one of his legs. And Judgment Day had been trying to take that as their opportunity to, really whittle down his leg and do damage and get him over.
He was really
Uh,
good at selling it.
yes,
Like
I
even
do
him
have that in
going,
my
because I
notes.
have the note of like him just being a phenomenal seller. Like the little things that like when people get their legs worked in matches and then they do like a high spot or like something super fast and it's like didn't you just break your leg or something? Like he goes for his cannonball spot and then like stops halfway and he's like, nah, leg isn't working, not gonna do it.
Yeah, and even throughout the match later in it too, you can still see him limping as he's trying to get up on the ropes for other spots. You can see him doing it either mostly with one leg or entirely with one leg, and just kind of hopping from rope to rope, doing his best with that. I believe at one point he had hit a DDT on Priest.
Yeah, the tornado DDT out of the
Yeah,
corner because I
and
think that's
yeah,
what happened after that cannonball spot. Like something
yes,
else happened. Kevin got on top and then hit that DDT. That got a really close too.
yeah, that was a really good looking DDT. And then I think shortly after that, after he had, because he had attempted a pinfall, he had done a brainbuster on Priest as well. That also looked really good. Uh, and then I believe at the end of the match, uh, you might need to help me out here. Seem
Yeah, I
to,
gotcha.
yeah, thank
So
you.
finish, we
Sorry.
see it's kind of like a squabble going on inside the ring. Jay is looking
That's
to
right.
dish out a
Yeah.
super kick, and his target is Priest, and Priest just kind of Like Smooth Criminal leans himself out of that, and he clocks KO square in the face with it. KO goes down. Priest does a clothesline
Yep.
over the ropes to get Jay out of there, and then Finn hits the coup de grace, and
Yep.
Judgment Day pick up the win.
Yep.
A side note of it I have is at some point in the match, the crowd is chanting "Let's go KO," and I mishear a chant again. I hear Cierto Miedo. So this is 2 weeks in a row that I'm hearing just AEW chants internally while watching WWE programming. Like something about the wires are getting crossed and
Too much wrestling.
too much
It's all getting
wrestling.
crossed.
But after we get a little just post-match thing, KO looks kind of a mix of disappointed and not surprised that this is how it went down. Like he looks almost like he's like disappointed in Jay because he wanted to believe
Yep.
that he was different, but at the same time with everything that's gone on, he's like, this is what I expected though. He's like, shouldn't have said, like internally, you know, his monologue is probably like, you know, shouldn't have said yes to this match. Should have just like done whatever. I trusted Jay. Got kicked in the face. What else is new?
Yeah.
And he kind of just limps back up on the ramp, and Jay just looks, you know, sad, distraught. He's like, damn, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I, I wish that they wouldn't have done the ending the way that they did. So that, I mean, I know why they did it, so that they can continue with the whole like KO doesn't quite trust him yet, especially now, um, and all that. But I don't know. It's also just the fact that like they had a few different camera shots of Jay just kind of standing there uh, after he had kicked KO in the face. And I get that it was probably a little bit of stun, like, oh my gosh, did I just actually do that? But I feel like would have had enough time to at least hop in the ring or get up to ringside and attempt to do something
Mm-hmm.
rather than just kind of stand there and gawk at it. Like, oh,
Yeah, like you could hear the Price is Right noise when they're doing like the mountain climber thing and the dude falls off the edge. You could hear that go off in like Jay's brain of like,
yeah,
well, I just burned that bridge with KO again.
yeah. Like, if they're going to do it that way and that's how it's going to end and that is it, Priest is still out there too. Have KO or KO, have Jay try to go up to ringside and do something, like at least attempt. Don't just stand there,
Mm-hmm.
because then Priest could have come in and be like, no, 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 we're not having that. And at least Jay would have then been attempting to still help KO and not just left him there for dead.
But then if the match didn't happen this way, how could we get this post-match backstage scene, which as soon as that match was over, goes to another commercial. We come back from
Yep.
commercial, and it's still KO, still selling that leg, because he's great. Sits down on a road case. Jay is following him, tries to apologize. KO's hearing none of it. KO basically tells him to go cry about it to the Judgment Day, which is count number 2 on Jay and the Judgment Day being mentioned in the same breath tonight. And we're going to keep a
Mhm.
running tally of that, because it is still not the last time that it happens.
Mhm.
We get a recap after that of the Gunther Gable match from last week. And I'm kind of upset because the recap that they showed made the match look fire. And that's not the match that I remember watching. I said that they should have included all of the commercials to make it feel more authentic to what the viewing experience was last week.
Yeah, I agree. Or put it picture in picture or something.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the recap as the picture in picture to really make it feel like you were watching last week's.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we just get one like good singles match between them? So I mean, there's that tag match that happens later in the night, and it's setting
Mhm.
something up for sure, but it doesn't seem like it's Gable again right now. So it looks like they're just kind of letting Gable go on the back burner. I still think I don't. He's got to get it at some point. I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about this segment too much before it happens, but like, surely they wouldn't be doing all of this stuff with Gable and Gunther if it wasn't going to be Gable, right?
Yeah.
4 matches.
Yeah.
4 matches. Like, you don't do that unless he's getting it.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. We get Miz and Akira Tozawa for some reason. I'm not sure why we're running this back. I know that it's because of the whole Akira Tozawa got that win on Miz because of LA Knight, and now Miz is just wanting to get like his win back or whatever.
Hmm.
This didn't need to happen. This could have
No,
been
I don't
anything
think
else. I would
so.
have preferred a Miz TV segment than seeing this.
Yeah, because it really just kind of was a squash match.
And I
Um,
took a look at the ticker, the time thing at the bottom. We were
yeah.
almost an hour into the show, and this was the second match. Very slow start to Raw this week. I
Oh,
think the bell rang at like
yeah, it
46 or
was.
47 minutes.
Yeah, because after the KO and Jay versus Judgment Day match, it was commercial break. A set of video packages or backstage segments, and
And then
then
a
another
commercial break.
commercial break.
Yep,
That's real slow there.
it is. It is. Like you touched on, this was basically a squash.
Yeah.
Um, Miz mimicked LA Knight's LA Knight, but he does MIZ.
Hmm.
And hits Tozawa with 3 skull crushing finales. That's
I'll
it.
give
That
it
was the
to
match.
I'll give it to Tozawa. He did hit a few pretty good looking moves and attempted to put up a little bit of defense, but it was clear that it was just here we're gonna make Miz look real angry, and he's just taking his anger
Yeah.
out on this dude.
I wish they let Tozawa do more stuff. Like
Mhm.
when Daniel and I saw Raw in Baltimore, he had a dark match against, funnily enough, JD McDonough, and that was so fun. That was like one of the most fun matches of the night, and it didn't even make air because it was part of main event. But I just like the small flippy guys, you know,
Yeah, they're a lot of
a
fun.
lot of fun.
I have here in my notes, is Miz just like a crazy LA Knight stan or something? Is that like what we're going here with this? Since he's still just obsessed with him?
He kind of seems to be a little hyper obsessed with LA Knight right now.
Yeah.
A little bit, a little bit. Let's see what was next. We got Byron Saxton backstage. He's interviewing Raquel about her match,
Mhm.
and I noticed Raquel is using some language and some words that may or may not be in Nia Jax's theme. And God, I have my notes. Boy, if only I didn't know what I know.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. It seemed. I mean, even people online, like I remember
Hmm.
getting on Twitter and seeing that promo, and immediately after it aired, people were like, "Surely this doesn't mean what I think it means." Like people picked up on it real fast.
I'm oblivious to what the specific way in which she talked, meaning, alluding to Nia Jax.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of like Rhea calling herself not like the other women or whatever.
Oh,
Like I'm not like most of the women or something like that, and that immediately
yeah.
threw up like Twitter's red flags, and they're like, no, 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 no. We get the Imperium celebration for Gunther, and I realized I spelled Gunther terribly wrong in my notes. I don't know how that one happened. So it is Vinci and Kaiser, and they're coming out to the ring first. Well, I guess they're getting the scenery set up and setting up that pyro right in the front row in front of everyone, which that had to be loud as hell.
And hot as hell too.
Like whenever we go to shows and like we're like on the other end of the arena and that like the pyro is still loud as shit. I can only imagine what it's like 6 inches
Right
in front of your
there.
face.
Yeah.
They get compensation for sitting like front row.
I hope they would have been like, "Hey, you're gonna need these
Here's
later
some
in the night.
earplugs.
Here's some earplugs to all of the people in like the first couple rows there on that side."
I hope green shirt guy is okay.
Yeah.
All I'm asking. So while they're doing that, we get a little backstage interview with Shayna. Shayna's asked
Mhm.
about her match with Zoe. And Shayna says that, Zoe surprised her. Most people pass out immediately in the clutch. and Zoe was able to fight it off. And then she gets interrupted by Chelsea, who I'm very on board with this current character arc of Chelsea, of asking
Mhm.
every single person in that locker room that would systematically destroy her of, hey, do you want to be my tag partner so I don't have to maybe fight you?
Yeah.
while Piper has been out and stuff. And then we found out Piper's actually back. But this has been a fun couple weeks of Chelsea just landing in matches because she's just talking like with her foot in her mouth.
Yeah.
But Shayna declines, says that like no, instead, how about we have a match? And then Chelsea turns around. Turns out Piper was there for the whole time, or at least most of it. And Chelsea's even like, how long have you been there for? And Piper just grabs the belt and she's like, I'm medically cleared. Like, and they're back, so they're a team. Um, I think that was everything that happened before the Imperium celebration.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think it
that's all I have in
cuts
my notes.
back.
Because right after that, it's just back to Gunther's entrance into the celebration.
Gotcha. Which that's got to be funny hearing the Imperium music play. The two walk out. They have to cut the music, and then it just starts again because the third guy now has to come out. It's like I get it, but like, shouldn't all three have come out? Whatever. Everyone in Imperium is dressed to the nines. They look like $1,000,000 tonight. It's
Yeah, they
weird seeing
do.
Gunther in a suit. I don't
He,
like it.
he looks real good in the suit, though.
The other two, it fits.
Yes.
I can't.
It is very odd seeing Gunther in a suit.
Don't like it. Gunther just gets himself over. He talks about his accolades. He says that many people have held the belt before him, and they've contributed nothing to this belt, and that Gunther is now the sole reason that the belt is in the current position that it is. And he's not entirely right, but he's not entirely wrong either. This reign with Gunther has, I think we've talked about this before, just completely revitalized what the IC belt or the IC title is for. And
Yes.
very excited that it's back in a prominent and prestigious spot.
Yes.
He gets cut off by Gable, which, not a very babyface thing to do. Cut off someone during their celebration. Not
It
very
is
nice.
not. No.
Just more Gable swearing that, he's going to be the one that takes the belt off of Gunther. Gunther better hold on to it between now and whenever Gable gets that rematch, because he is not going to be happy until he is the reason that Gunther suffers another loss. Gunther just calls him a terrible father.
Yeah, he does.
He hit him with that Uno reverse card.
Yeah. No,
He's like, what, you want to drag your family out and watch me, like, have them watch me beat your ass again?
Yeah.
No, you. And then Gable just gets mad. Imperium just beat his ass. And then Otis comes down, which makes sense. And then it's still, 2-on-3. And you're like, oh, is Imperium just going to stand tall? It's Ciampa.
Yeah,
Hello?
is there some lore I'm missing out here that
What
like
happened?
Ciampa is the one that
Like,
comes out to help them?
I'm not upset. I'm a Tommaso Ciampa guy, but
Yeah, I'll
what's the
take
reason?
Ciampa when we can get him. But that's my biggest question. I just a bunch of question marks around Ciampa in my notes.
I'm sure DIY and American Alpha had some matches down in NXT. That was before I kind of started watching. I'm sure they've crossed paths a couple times, but surely we could have done something to
Yeah,
like lead into this.
they could. I feel like they could have, if they were going to have Ciampa be the one to come out, they could have backstage segment from one of the last couple weeks after Gable's matches or something, and Ciampa's there, or something like that, just to allude to Ciampa being involved with Gable, at least more recently.
Because like on Twitter and stuff, Ciampa's still involved in like the Fine Johnny Gargano stuff and putting up like the wanted posters or the Have You Seen Me posters or whatever. And the last match that Ciampa had, he's still tied up in like the Bronson Reed stuff,
Yeah.
like that whole thing, which also had Shinsuke involved, but now Shinsuke is kind of like back
And
in the main event scene, so Shinsuke is just kind of like pieced out of that three-way that was going on there. There's a lot of moving parts on Raw now that we're thinking about this, and I'm not
it's just a whole lot.
100% certain how we've ended up in the scenario that we're in. Maybe I just missed like 1 week and like this is what happened, but it kind of feels like a like alternate universe Raw where all the stories that we had like 4 weeks ago, like they don't exist. They were never
Yeah.
like blown off. They just don't exist anymore. We're doing something else now.
Need to get back to a Rovo.
God, yeah. The lore. Let's see. After that, we get that little flashback showing just kind of the escapades of the team of McIntyre and Riddle, the New Day, the
Yep.
Raiders, all that stuff that's been going on over the last couple of weeks. Bold move showing Matt Riddle in exclusively all of the footage that they showed. Not gonna touch on that. Just strange choice. They could have omitted that entirely, and nothing would have been lost from this segment.
Mm-hmm.
We get, I guess, a pre-recorded segment from earlier in the day. Shows
Yep.
Xavier talking to Drew, and Drew just doesn't care. Drew's pretty dismissive. He's like, look, I apologized. I thought we were cool. Like, what more do you want from me? Xavier calls Drew jealous. He's like, oh, I bet it's jealousy because Kofi got his moment in front of like 80,000 people, and you got the Performance Center. He didn't like hearing that.
No, he did.
He
not.
got big mad. Big mad real fast. So we get a match later on. It feels like we're getting closer to that McIntyre heel turn.
Very
I think
much so, yeah.
the Raw card feels like it needs another top level heel because we've got Nakamura now, kind of.
Kind of, I think.
I guess I don't even want to say Brock because he's not around right now, and he can do babyface or
He
heel. He's just kind of this like ethereal figure that now
That
lives
just-
eternally in the main event, and he'll just do whatever you need him to do.
Yeah.
Are there any other really like top heels? I mean, Gunther technically,
mean,
but if he's wrapped up in the
I
IC
guess.
scene,
Yeah, he's wrapped up with the title, but I guess that's it. I mean, you have the Judgment Day, but that's kind of just a faction as a whole, and not, not their own. Each of them isn't entirely their own entity, like the others you've mentioned are.
yeah, I was gonna say still out of the Judgment Day, the only one that feels like they can swim in the main event is obviously Finn. It feels like they're testing the waters with Priest, no pun intended, with Finn and swim. That's just kind of how that one happened. But yeah, it just feels like the top end of Raw really needs like heels.
Yeah.
Because on the babyface side, you have Seth, you have
Mhm.
Cody, you have Jay. I guess technically for the time being, kind of McIntyre. Not that he's like in the main event scene right now, but as far as like big babyface figures, for now, something needs to happen. Someone needs to turn. Something needs to change. We need more bad guys that are standalone.
Yes. Yeah. That can stir the pot.
Yeah. Which, fingers crossed. I like McIntyre more as a heel, just personally, because he's not that like chicken shit heel. He's just the heel that like knows he can beat you in a fight, and he's going to do that, and you're gonna lose clean as a sheet in the middle of that ring, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
No, there's really not.
And it's kind of rare that we get that these days.
Mm-hmm.
We are once again backstage. We've got Alpha Academy and Ciampa, and they're asked about like what led to their actions earlier, you basically, why Champa did you come out? And he said something or other. I missed almost entirely what he said. I just zoned out during it, and then I just didn't want to rewind it.
His I don't have anything in my notes about what exactly he had said. I just know that he had spoken during that little segment. He also sounded very hoarse, like he had just been recovering from something with his throat. So it was really hard to even understand him, anyways. It was
Um,
like he sounded like he was trying to speak at full volume, but it just was not coming across full
just wasn't
volume
working
either.
today.
Yeah, it was very raspy, very low volume. So
But Otis, of all people, excuse me, Otis, of all people, is the one that pitches the tag match for later, where the three of them face off against Imperium. Gable's in, and they ask if Ciampa wants in, and he doesn't say yes, he doesn't say no, but like he looks at them and like walks away, and Gable's like, I think he's in.
it kind of looked like the approving like look of like, you might be onto something there. I think, but yeah, it kind of was just him walking off. Cable going, no, yeah, we're gonna do this.
I bet he, yeah, I bet he'll be there. Don't worry about it. He's fine. He's fine.
He'll show up.
He'll show up. He's cool. Don't worry. And then finally, we get Xavier Woods and Drew McIntyre. And I can't stress this enough. This is only the third match of the night. There's been so much other stuff that's happened.
Yeah, there was a lot of. Oh my gosh.
But would you like to talk about this one?
I mean, I could try. I don't have too many notes about it.
Neither do I.
Most of my notes are filled up with everything else that happened other than the matches, really. So yeah, after that we cut back to Woods and Drew. Um, yeah, I don't have too many notes. I just kind of have like some of the standout moments from the match. It was a kind of a bit of a funny moment, I think. Looked like Drew was going for a why I oughta while he had Xavier up on the corner because he was just winding up a punch with his arm like that and then clocked him in the head. Not too long after that, Woods got a good, like a, what was it? He hit a power bomb on Drew and then immediately into a leg drop from the top rope in the corner. Overall, I thought there was some pretty good, back and forth between them with Woods kind of really trying to reverse, get some reversals in there and capitalize on those moments. Uh, my notes have surprise Claymore for the finish.
Oh, yeah, that just kind of like,
It just came out of nowhere,
yeah.
and then that was it.
Yeah, that was it. I basically just have that this was Miz versus Tozawa, but just like a couple minutes longer. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't a complete squash, but every time like Woods tried to do something and got a little bit of momentum, Drew just kind of like no,
yeah. Drew kind of just was a brick wall.
yeah.
Hey, you have a
And then
lot of
yeah, I
momentum
I
there.
have he just wins with a claymore.
Yeah,
That's it. But as he's like backing up the ramp, he's like yelling at Woods in the ring, like it didn't have to go down like this, like it didn't have to be this way. So curious to see what happens. I'm sure that Xavier Woods is going to be a totally normal person about this, and it won't further exacerbate Drew McIntyre's possible heel turn at all.
no,
No,
not at all.
no,
Never. It's just all going to be water under the bridge now.
yeah, yeah, they're fine. It's fine. We get a Cody Rhodes promo. I hated this because he didn't say anything.
No, no, he really didn't.
He said he wants to talk about Jey Uso. Immediately gets cut off by Judgment Day, specifically Dom, who has JD now with him. So is he in? Is he out? We don't know.
Yeah, still don't know. I mean, from what the announcers had said during like at the end of that promo was that JD was still trying to, or whenever they made their entrance, one or the other, JD was still trying to make his way into the Judgment Day. So
Uh,
perhaps it's part of that grand scheme they have going on.
yeah. Which is all Dom talked about on the
Yeah,
mic.
it is.
Says, doesn't matter about Jey Uso. Sooner or later, he's going to be joining the Judgment Day. That is time number 3. I'm kind of over this now.
Yep.
That's it. And then Cody tries to punch Dom. He gets jumped by the 2. And then because he's Cody Rhodes, he's able to single-handedly clear the ring.
Yep.
That's it. That was the segment. It sucked.
That didn't need to exist.
No, it didn't.
I'm all for Cody coming out to cut a promo, but he didn't.
This wasn't what was advertised.
Yeah.
We get, what was it? Drew confronting Jay backstage now.
Yes.
And Drew
Yes.
mentions the Judgment Day. That is 4 times tonight. That the concept of Jay joining the Judgment Day has been brought up. And we're only like maybe an hour and a half into the show.
Yeah, I think we're about halfway through the show now.
But that sets up a match next week between Jay and Drew. And I swear to God, if like someone from the Judgment Day comes out to help Jay like get a win over Drew, I'm screaming.
Yeah, I just, if he's gonna get a win over Drew, please just let it be a clean win without the Judgment Days interfering. Let it be a moment of Jay coming through, being confronted about his past. If he gets the win, he gets the win over Drew clean, and then kind of has a moment of like, you know, going to help him up or something of like, hey, you know, I beat you, but like I respect you. I would appreciate your respect back. Like a moment like that. I would much rather see that to start to build towards Jay going through that whole redemption and everything, and what KO had talked about earlier in the night of, you know, trying to work through and earn the respect of those that are around you that, you know, don't like you. And I would just much rather see that than yet again have Jay shoehorned into something with the Judgment Day.
Yeah. Honestly, if you want to turn Drew heel, have Jay win, and then just have Drew like beat his ass after the match or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if you could even work that in with what I was saying about Jay going over to try and like be respectful and help him up and everything, and Drew just be a total ass and like slap his hand away and then get up
Just
and
like pie face him or something.
yeah.
And then while Jay's like recovering himself or whatever, he turns back around and like boom, Claymore.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. That pushes both Drew towards his heel turn and Jay towards at least like showing that he's working towards attempting to come back from who he was.
Hire us, Trips. Gonna be very disappointed when that doesn't happen next week.
Yeah. Yeah, we both will.
We've got the Chelsea Green and Shayna Baszler match. A lot of the matches tonight use the word match very liberally.
Yeah, they do.
Which I think is also another reason why I wasn't too fond of just, like, there was kind of 3 squash matches, and they were kind of all back to back to back. And
yeah, you know, upon further run through of this again with you, I'm starting to come a little bit closer to your opinion of the show from yesterday.
The show kind of sucked ass, I'm not gonna lie. My first note was immediately in before we get Baszler and Stark versus Chelsea and Piper for the titles next week. We'll see. Shayna gets the win. I thought it's kind of funny that she's using Piper's Pit now. Ronda's finish. She's calling it something else, like something with an E, something I'm sure is from like Warhammer. Because that seems to be like Shayna's thing.
I could have sworn I wrote in my notes what it was. I didn't.
It
Yeah,
it definitely sounds like it's from some like fantasy tabletop RPG,
absolutely.
something,
Absolutely.
something. Piper ends up jumping Shayna after the match, and then Zoe comes out to make the save. So we will see how this goes. I could see maybe just the non-title match happening first,
Hmm.
and then probably like, I mean, obviously Piper would take the pinfall or something like that, or maybe even Chelsea, since Piper is the one that's booked to be more dominant in that team. But we also kind of talked about this last week. Nothing against Zoe. I think she's doing fine on her own now on the main roster after coming out of the
Hmm.
whole Trish and Becky thing. I don't want Shayna in another tag team. Just
No,
singles,
I have
please.
I have that in my notes. Like I'm cool with them being close or whatever. Like they've earned each other's respect, and they're not really a faction, but they are like they're there for each other if something goes wrong, and then like that kind of angle. But I don't want another tag team. I'd like to see Shayna do some stuff on her
Shayna
own.
just got out of another tag team.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be shoehorned or directly into another one. Give her some time to do something on her own, like what we were talking about last
Yeah.
week.
Ah, what a good episode this was. Let's see. We've got the Nakamura video package afterwards. If nothing else, the video packages are always well made. They're well put together. They're very
Yeah.
competently shot. They look
Yep.
just very aesthetic, very cool. But what Shinsuke is saying isn't cool because he's just regurgitating the same stuff week after week, where
Hmm.
he just, you know, break your back, make you humble. Shout out Sheik. Um,
I mean, this week was a bit more so of like trying to expose Seth's past, less back, more like, you're a bad person. Here's why, and all of that. At least that's what I took away from the video package.
but Shinsuke says he'll challenge Seth when he feels like it, which is not how that works. You, the non-champion, can't be like, I want your title. We're going to have a match tonight. That's not how this works. That's been like my biggest gripe with this is like, why
Hmm.
isn't. I get that Shinsuke is just playing mind games with Seth, and Seth ultimately wants to just have a definitive, like, no, because he got the clean win at Payback.
Yeah.
I Nothing about this makes sense right now. Um, from like a character standpoint, like for Nakamura, like sure, but from like a realistic, logical standpoint, none of this makes sense because Seth doesn't have to keep giving matches to Nakamura, and if Nakamura says no, then like if I was Adam Pearce, I'd be like, okay, well, back of the line, then we've got other top contenders.
I kind of have that in my notes for what comes after the Shinsuke promo video package. Uh, I think it's just mind games mostly is what they're trying to go for. Again, I don't see how it really makes sense from the Seth point of view unless they're trying to really make him out to be this uh like I don't know. His ego is bloated his head and he's like, nah, if I'm offering a challenge, you need to take it because I'm the champion type deal. I'm the star of the show, so you need to give me your time. And so he's just obsessed with, hyper focused on Shinsuke because he's saying no to him.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth
That checks
doesn't
out.
want to be told no. He wants to be told yes and then beat you.
Um, then we got Seth Rollins who comes out for a promo. You want to
Hmm.
take this one?
Yeah, no shots. Those chants went for that entire commercial break because Seth came out, he got to the ring, commercial break. We come back, and the announcer's like, "Yeah, they've been going for 4 minutes strong," and you can look kind of at the crowd, and everyone's just kind of sitting there. Seth does eventually put his arms up, and everyone starts going again, but no shot that was actually the whole crowd doing that. I mean, if they did, were cool, cool. Um, But after Seth takes to the mic, it's mostly him coming clean about his past and not being a great person, and pretty much everything that Shinsuke called him out for, trying to get ahead of it and be like, "Hey, yeah, I really was not a great person. Um, I tried to be somebody that I thought everyone wanted me to be, and then I tried to be this instead, and then realized, hey, you guys just wanted me to be me,
He's
so that's
filming his
who I
YouTube
am
apology
now."
video.
Yep. Yeah, that's really what it felt like. Um, and then I just have what is it? Yeah, Shinsuke, and it then cuts to backstage where Shinsuke is assaulting Ricochet. Uh, oh, sorry. To clarify, just before that, Seth had announced yet another challenge to Shinsuke of, "Hey, I'm here. This is Monday Night Raw. This is my show. Here's the belt. I'm challenging you. Come out." That's when we cut to the backstage of Shinsuke and Chet. Ricochet. Sorry.
The in jokes. They're making their way into the
Sorry.
videos.
They really are. That's why I had to stop myself the first time I said his name. Um, and it's just Shinsuke saying that Seth caught him at a bad time. And he's currently preoccupied.
I
Uh,
did pop for that.
yeah.
He's like, oh, I already found someone to fight. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
He was
whooping
just kind of like,
Ricochet's ass
"Oh,
backstage.
I, I thought you weren't medically cleared, so like I'm kind of preoccupied, man. I'm over here with this guy."
You hear him like
Uh,
audibly groaning from the floor.
um, and yeah, and it's just Shinsuke saying no with a big old smile on his face. And then yeah, the last thing I have in my notes about it is just I really do think that it's them trying to play up the whole uh, Seth is Monday night, so whatever he says goes, and he wants this, so that means you're going to give it to him. And Shinsuke is just kind of playing with him, saying, "No, I'm not going to give that to you." I think that's kind of what they're trying to go with it. I'm not. I'm trying to. I'm trying to logically parse out where they're going with this and where they came from with it to make sense of it, because as we've stated, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
Shinsuke
that
doesn't get to just challenge him.
wrestling
He
don't work like
got
this.
Yeah, he got the clean loss from Seth. Seth got that win clean. He doesn't have to issue, like, he doesn't have to say, "Nah, I'm going to challenge him again." But he just continues to do the same thing. So I don't know what your thoughts on all of that were.
Um, I liked the beatdown angle. I did enjoy
Mhm.
Nakamura with the whole like, well, kind of preoccupied. You caught me at a really bad time.
Yeah.
Funnily, I would have come out, but unfortunately, like, a little busy. Get ready to add to that counter. We've got Finn and Jay backstage. Finn says that all the people here in the locker room, they're not fans of him. But he's like, but you know who is a fan? I'm a fan. Damien's a fan. Dom's a fan. And even Rhea's a fan. And then that pops Jay, and he's like, Ayo. Which,
He just like me.
just like me for real. So that is 5 times tonight that the
Yep.
Judgment Day have been like, Jey Uso, please join us. And I've got, at the end of the tag match, I have some possible fantasy booking that I want to get your opinion on, because I
Okay.
want to see if we're thinking the same thing.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Okay. I'm here for it.
So up next is the Otis and Chad Gable, the Alpha Academy. Still mad that they're not called the Chadamy Academy. But
Huge missed
I don't
opportunity.
lose sleep over it anymore. I've
Come to
reconciled
terms with it.
reconciled with my demons. So we're gonna call them the Chadamy Academy, and Ciampa versus Imperium. I got popped really, really early. Wade Barrett says that Gable went to the Rey Mysterio School of Bad Parenting. I love that we're
It
still
really is.
dragging Rey Mysterio Like we're taking the Dominic Mysterio side and just saying that like Ray is a trash parent. I love that that's like one of the longest running storylines that's going on right now. Gable is just an absolute machine in the ring.
Yes.
With Ciampa involved, I'd like to see something maybe down the lines if Gable and Gargano were to ever cross paths in a one-on-one setting. Because that could be real fun.
Yeah, it could.
It could be real fun. I did notice that Barrett's doing a great job of trying to get Ciampa over for anyone watching who may not be familiar with NXT or catch a whole lot of Tommaso Ciampa stuff. Because he calls Tommaso Ciampa the one-man Mount Rushmore of NXT. I'm like, bro, Finn Balor is right there. But honestly, Ciampa's not a bad like name to also shout for that. Finish of the match. There's a really like frenetic sequence outside. It's just everyone hitting like moves on each other. Like Otis plows over Kaiser. Gunther hits Otis with a boot. Like all this other stuff keeps happening.
Just trades all
Just
over the place.
Trades, yeah. Vinci almost gets a roll up on, I believe it was Gable.
Yes. Yeah.
And Gable's able to obviously kick out. Vinci ends up tapping out to an ankle lock. The curious thing about this is that Gunther comes in to try and break up the submission. It's Ciampa that actually puts Gunther in a submission of his own and then forces Gunther to watch Vinci, which I don't think is the important takeaway of this, of like, he made Gunther watch his own man tap out. It's like, no, why is it Ciampa doing it? Wouldn't have been more like apropos to have Ciampa tap out Vinci, and it's Gable that like keeps Gunther. So I'm curious to see where this is going. I assume we're getting Ciampa and Gunther at some point. That's the only thing logically I can think of.
As for why they would have him be the one, getting the lock on Gunther, yeah.
Because like I could see that going on for a little while to kind of cool Gable down until it is time for him to start racking up some wins and really put himself back in that predominant, like, I am the number one contender for IC title. Really hoping that happens at Mania. I would not be mad if Gunther still holds on to that belt until like April. Would not care. Nope. I want to see it. But I just thought that was a very strange way to end the match. I get that it's setting up some stuff in the future, but with how important Chad Gable has been made to feel, yeah, he got the win, but he's not the one that like stopped Gunther.
So did he really get the win?
He didn't get the like moral win, but he got the objective win.
Yeah.
We get another Judgment Day segment. If you could believe what they're talking about. It's main event Jey Uso.
Hey,
that's
six times.
Six times in one night. I swear to God, I'm so over this at this point. He says that the more isolated that Jey feels, the more and more likely it is that he eventually comes around to joining the Judgment Day. And then I even say there's a lot of focus being put on Jey joining, which leads me to think that he's not going to. So this is kind of where that fantasy booking that I was talking about plays out. So I could see something down the line where, it's Judgment Day and they get the better of like Kevin Owens or something, and they kind of like, hold him out like Jey, kick him in the face. Like if Kevin Owens keeps being just an absolute bastard to Jey Uso or whatever, and then Judgment Day like jump KO, they get him like prone, they hold his arms, whatever. He's like, look, you can kick him in the face. We know you want to. And then like he ends up like super kicking Judgment Day or something and like choosing his side. Like maybe that could be what sways Kevin to eventually get him over. I said bonus points if this happens in or sets up a War Games match for Survivor Series. Because they could mimic how Sammy had to fight and earn Jay's trust, and it didn't happen until War Games.
Yeah.
So you can kind of flip the script and now it's Jay trying to prove himself to everyone, and it happens at War Games.
Yeah.
So a little
And the whole Judgment Day kind of, holding KO for Jay kind of mirrors what happened with Sami Zayn too, and the Bloodline. All that stuff that went down too.
except Sammy actually did it.
Yeah.
But it would be like Jay's chance to show that, like, no, look, like, I'm trying to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot.
I think I'd like it more if it happened in a War Games, because then you have the team of good guys of like 3 people that are all on the same page, and then like Jey Uso is also there, and they're like kind of like excluding him, and then he ultimately is the reason they win the match. I could see that like really solidifying, because that wouldn't be until November, so you still got like a couple months of like, boo, we hate Jey Uso type stuff from the roster, and then everyone's like, well, maybe he's not so bad.
And that'll also give more time to do anything that they want to do in terms of him
Joining Judgment Day.
No. To like redeem himself, like, slowly, like the whole thing with Drew, like what I recommended and stuff, like doing things like that where he's really trying to pay respect to other people and earn the respect of others back.
Up next, we get Tiffany Stratton, who is backstage talking to Adam Pearce. Becky walks in. They're doing their little, I guess, contract signing for their match on NXT, which is tonight.
Yep.
Pearce pronounces roof rough, and that, I don't like that. He says like something along the lines of like, well, I had you guys under the same roof. I was like, that's not how you pronounce that word.
Pierce also looked like he was being saved when Becky walked in.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I think he even said thank you whenever she walked in.
Like he gets the knock and he's like, please come in. Save me. Please. Tiffany just kind of starts talking and kind of wonders like what she did that really irked Becky. She apologized for accidentally calling Becky a champion, which I guess ultimately would be kind of like a backhanded compliment of like, I can't believe you didn't win this. I could have sworn that like, but Becky says that like when she thinks of NXT, she thinks of the hope and the future of the up and coming superstars that will eventually make up the WWE main roster. And she says that while Tiffany could be that, she doesn't think she's there yet. Becky herself feels that Tiffany just wants to be famous.
Yep.
And I kind of agree with that. It seems to be like the crux of like the Tiffany Stratton character of like the I'm the most important person in the universe type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's so weird that she has a problem when Tiffany does it, but her husband gets like that clean slate when he also does the I'm the most important person in the universe.
Well, if he wasn't like that, he wouldn't be able to feud with Shinsuke.
He'd actually be doing something a little more fulfilling right now. That's crazy.
Wild, man.
I hate it here.
Well, we can't have every belt mean a whole lot, right? The IC means a lot right now, so that means that the Seth's belt can't mean that much, right?
I mean, the US belt isn't doing too hot.
Yeah.
It's okay, that's the other show. We're not talking about the US belt right now.
Yeah,
that's for Friday. We get our main event of the evening, and this is the match that I was dreading the most because I knew how the match was going to end, and I knew what was going to happen after the match. So we get Raquel Rodriguez getting her rematch against Rhea with, I think they even specified now, all night they were saying, and Dominic's not allowed at ringside, and Dominic can't be out here. Mm-hmm. And at the very, very end, they're like, and Judgment Day is barred from ringside. I'm like, hold up.
Oh. I didn't catch that.
I'm like, hold up.
It was supposed to just be... It's just supposed to be Dom. Not Judgment Day.
You guys... You didn't say that at first.
Yeah.
I was... We're not even... Let's not even talk about that. Like... You know what I want to talk about this.
Do I? You wanna elaborate? I'm not quite sure. I might know.
I don't know how we got into this position where, like, after last week and them making it
Hmm.
explicitly clear, yeah, Dominic can't come out and help you. And literally everyone's like, yeah, it's JD. He's going to do something to earn himself. He's going to put himself in the good graces. He was
Yeah,
clearly there. Like, yeah, he got beat
yeah,
up by Cody Rhodes, but
but
he's there. He's not part of Judgment Day. Never, ever would I have guessed. No, actually, it's going to be Nia Jax. Hello?
huh?
The crowd just immediately starts booing.
Yeah,
I'm
they do.
booing. I I'm bummed.
I'm booing so hard that they can actually hear me yesterday
Bro.
from my house.
And the thing that, like, I still want to believe that Rhea is not letting go of that championship anytime soon,
Mhm.
but I am so scared. I know it's Triple H booking, and I don't think it would be a Triple H thing to have, like, Nia go over and Nia be champion,
Mhm.
because I think Triple H understands that Nia's good as, like, this imposing figure, but not necessarily champion.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like an obstacle to climb,
Yes.
but what if? Like, I'm not ready.
I'm not ready either. I hope if Rhea does lose the title, it's to Raquel. Like, this gets put in the back burner. Like the whole Raquel thing gets put in the back burner, some time to cool down, and then after whatever else happens, she comes back. It's like, hey, no, 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 no. Like this needs to be a thing. I need to get a clean win on you, something like that.
I just have big
Please.
fear.
I also have big fear. Everything that she did in the ring to Rhea just kind of looked cute.
Mm.
Just the drop, like you said, the smacks, uh, spitting in her face. Just
And the weird thing is, well, hopefully that's not audible. The AC outside on, like, the neighbor's place just kicked on, and it's loud as hell.
I
Um,
can't hear it. So you good?
she's technically being booked babyface. No one's gonna cheer her. Everyone's gonna boo. Everyone's
Yeah.
gonna cheer Rhea.
She also didn't really act that way either.
No. So like,
Not at all.
we're trying to,
In
like, out heal the heel.
in fact, entirely opposite.
So very curious to see how that plays out. Like, everyone always, like, cheers Rhea anyways, because everyone appreciates the work that Rhea is doing. And she'll get
Yeah.
booed if she's with, like, the rest of Judgment Day doing Judgment Day things.
Yeah.
But during her match, she'll get, like, the let's go Rhea and stuff like that, just because people appreciate what she's doing right now. I don't see people even, like, entertaining the notion of, yeah, Rhea's still the bad guy in this match.
No, absolutely not.
No.
No. There's no way that. Yeah. No. No. And even if she would get boos, they're not going to be nearly as much or loud as Nia would be.
No. No. I'm hoping that it comes out that this is just, like, a short term deal with Nia
Hmm.
where she, like, comes in, works a program, and then, like, she's kind of gone again. I just don't think there's a spot for her anymore on the main roster. I just don't
At
know
least
what
not.
stories we could tell anymore.
Yeah, at least not up in like the main scene, like right there as like that last, as you said, that last obstacle you have to climb to get to be a contender
Mhm.
and everything. I just no, I'm not here for it.
So that was Raw. That was the episode of
Yeah.
Raw. Uh,
Uh, I hope you like your 3 hour video package.
your 3 hour Jey Uso, please join the Judgment Day.
Or that. Yeah.
I think like out of 10, I'd probably give this episode a 3, maybe 3.5. I don't think we've quite encroached into 4 territory.
hmm
It's not the worst
Um,
episode of Raw I've ever seen, but it's one of them.
for me, I'd probably give it somewhere around like a 4 for me, just because even looking back on it a second time and coming around to the realization that, yeah, it really wasn't, there wasn't much wrestling that happened. There were, what, I think 4 matches, maybe 5. Let's see, one, two, three, four, five, 6.
6, yeah, I think.
Yeah, but 3 of them pretty much just being squash matches.
Yeah, 3 of them weren't matches.
Yeah, so like I still found it entertaining. I still was here for a bit of it, but constantly having the Judgment Day bring up the no, it's Jey Uso's joining us. Jey Uso's going to be here. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. Constantly, and also the way that the night ended just kind of really soured it a lot.
And I'm kind of bummed because, like, I say every week that I'm all aboard the Judgment Day stuff. I like the Judgment Day heavy episodes of Raw. But it wasn't a Judgment Day heavy episode. It was a Jey Uso heavy episode of Raw.
Yeah.
And I get that that's his shtick now. Like, of course, he's kind of like the main character of Raw right now on that character redemption arc
hmm
through the means of the Judgment Day trying to like pry into his business and stuff like that. It wasn't my thing. Judgment
Yeah.
Day is more fun when they're being like dickheads to everyone
Yeah.
and not actually like earnestly trying to do something.
Yeah. I feel like a much better way to end the night would have been also to kind of just let Judgment Day be Judgment Day and not the Jey Uso recruitment squad would have been to have the whole prediction that we had last week for this how this match was going to go and how it was going to end of JD playing into it somehow. And then, I
Could
mean,
not have been
obviously,
more wrong.
no, we
Could
really
not
could
have
not
been
have
more
been.
wrong today.
No. But I think that would have been a much better way to end it. Like I said, if they were going to have Nia return, like if they were really going to do it, I just don't think that was the way to do it. Like,
It is what it is. We can only wait and see what happens next week, I suppose.
yeah, very true.
So until then, if you guys, as always, like what you hear, make sure you hit that like, you give us a subscribe. Probably should have said this at the beginning of the video, but just to everyone that's been watching, checking us out and stuff, thank you very
Yep.
much. The episode of Raw that we did, no, the episode of SmackDown that we did this past
Yeah.
Friday was our fastest growth on a video. We got like our first 20 views and under the first like 20 hours on it, which we're a brand new channel. We're talking about something incredibly niche in an already like
Very much so.
overpopulated market of very established channels, and that's awesome for us. Even just the people
Yeah.
that like tune in for a couple minutes and check us out, like it goes a long way. It's awesome just seeing the amount of support that we're already starting to get. Just
Yeah.
hope to see it grow.
Yeah. Again, thank you.
So until next time, we have been the Sheer Drop Wrestling team signing out.